Hello, welcome. Dr. Sushma Singh this side. Today in Unit 25 Urbanization, let us start our topic with theories of urbanization, and our subtopic is Indian sociologist Rao and Bose. MSA Rao analyzes urbanization and urbanism keeping in mind the large social structures of Indian society. For him, urbanism is a heterogeneous process, and hence there can be many forms of urbanism giving rise to many types of urbanization. Rao states that the dichotomy between cities and villages is incorrect, as both have the same structural features of caste and kinship and are part of the same civilization. Moreover, urbanization and the westernization are not identical and should not be confused. Urbanization does not lead to the breakdown of traditional structures of caste and joint family. The traditional and the modern structure coexist in the urban milieu, because of which various types of urbanism exist: post-industrial, pre-industrial, western and non-western, etc. Further, the urbanization is seen in relation to the social change, and no real social transformation is associated with it. However, due to urbanization, new forms of social organization and association have emerged. Thus, for Rao, urbanization is a complex, multifaceted process comprising of ideological, cultural, historical, demographic, comparative, traditional, and sociological elements. Rao defines a city as a center of urbanization and urban way of life. Urbanization is a two-way process. Urbanization in India is not a uniform process but occurs along different axes: administrative, political, commercial, religious, and educational, giving rise to several types of urbanism. These different axes give rise to different type of contact which the city has with the villagers, leading to distinct pattern of urbanization. He distinguishes three kinds of situation of social change in rural areas resulting from urbanization: villages near an industrial town, villages with a sizable number of immigrants working in towns and cities, and villages on metropolitan fringe. Rao believed that through the study of migration one could observe the similarities, dissimilarities, and continuity between villages and towns. Rao's sociological approach is the most complete approach to the study of urbanization because he tries to examine them in all their different facets and relate these facets to one another and to the sociological understanding of urbanism and urbanization. Ashish Bose's demographic classification emphasizes quantitative factors like demography rather than qualitative factors in defining urbanization. For him, urbanization in the demographic sense is an increase in the proportion of the urban population U to the total population T over a period of time. As long as U divided by T increases, there is urbanization. The process of urbanization is a continuing process which is not merely a concomitant of industrialization but a concomitant of the whole gamut of the factors underlying the process of economic growth and social change. Bose outlines the characteristic feature of urbanization in India. He made a decade-wise differentiation in terms of percentage of urbanization. Here, urbanization is affected by trends in migration. He recognizes the pushback and turnover factors of migration. He considered four variables affecting the urban growth: proportion of new towns to total urban population, proportion of declassified towns to the total population, proportion of declining towns to the total population, and proportion of rapidly growing towns to the total urban population. Only when these are combined it will be possible to analyze the process of urbanization in India. Both used the concepts of towns and cities interchangeably. Now let us move to the next point, that is social effects of urbanization in India. Urbanization has far-reaching effects on large societal processes and structures. Let us capture some of these change and effects on the following subsections. The first is family and kinship. Urbanization affects not only the family structure but also intra and inter-family relations, as well as the functions the family performs. With urbanization, there is a disruption of the bonds of community, and the migrant faces the problems to replace old relationship with the new ones and to find a satisfactory means of continuing relationship with those left behind. Several empirical studies of urban families conducted by scholars like I.P. Desai, Kapadia and Aline Rose have pointed out that the urban joint families is being gradually replaced by the nuclear family. The size of the family is shrinking and kinship relationship is confined to 2 or 3 generations only. In his study of 423 families in Mahua town of Gujarat, I.P. Desai showed that though the structure of urban families is changing, the spirit of individualism is not growing in the families. They found that 74% families were residentially nuclear but functionally and in property joint, and 21% were joint in residence and functioning as well as in property, and 5% families were nuclear. Kapadia, in his studies of 1,162 families in rural and urban Navsari areas of Gujarat, found that while in rural areas for every 2 nuclear families there were 3 joint families, in urban city areas nuclear families were 10% more than joint families. Aline Rose, in her study of 157 Hindu families belonging to middle and upper classes in Bangalore, found that about 60% of the families are nuclear. The trend today is towards a break with the traditional joint family form into the nuclear family form into the nuclear family unit. Small joint family is now the most typical form of family life in urban areas. Relations with one's distant kin are weakening or breaking. Though intra-family and inter-family relations are changing, it does not mean that youngsters no longer respect their elders or children completely ignore their obligations to their parents and siblings, or wives challenge the authority of their husband. One important change is that the husband-dominant family is being replaced by egalitarian family, where the wife is given a share in the decision-making process. I.P. Desai maintains, in spite of strain between the youngster and older generation, the attachment of children to their families is seldom weakened. Saila Vektu maintains that the ideal of family jointness is still upheld although living separate. The extended family acts as the ceremonial units and close ties with the members of the anagnetic extended family are maintained. Also, larger kinship clusters, including groups of bilaterally and affinally related households within the same or closely adjacent mohallas, exist. There is a tendency towards the bilateral kinship in urban areas. In her study of Raipur in 1976, Patuk mentions the increasing tendencies toward the individualizing the material bond and decline of practice such as levirate, widow inheritance, widow remarries, marriage by exchange, polygyny, etc. The impact of urbanization is also seen in the urban pattern of increasingly homogenized values and ways of behaving. Thus, the gradual modification of the family structure in urban India is taking place, such as diminishing size of the family, reduction in functions of family, emphasis on conjugal relationship, etc. Kinship is an important principle of social organization in cities, and there is structural congruity between joint family on one hand and requirements of industrial and urban life on the other. In his study of 19 families of outstanding business leaders in Madras, Milton Singer argues that a modified version of traditional Indian joint family is consistent with urban and industrial settings. Now let us move to the next point, urbanization and caste. It is generally held that caste is a rural phenomena, whereas the class is urban and that it is associated with urbanization. Caste transforms itself into class, but it is necessary to note that the caste system exists in cities as much as it does in villages, although there are significant organizational differences. Caste identities tends to diminish with urbanization, education, and the development of an orientation towards the individual achievement and modern status symbol. Andre Batley has pointed out that among the westernized elite, class ties are much more important than caste ties. A noticeable change today is the fusion of subcaste and fusion of caste. Kolenda has identified three kinds of fusion: on the job and in newer neighborhood in the city, persons of different subcaste and of different caste meet. Inter-subcaste marriage take place, promoting a fusion of subcaste. Democratic politics also foster the fusion of subcastes. Studies of many sociologists like Srinivas Gore, D'Souza, Rao have shown that the caste system continues to persist and exert its influence in some sectors of urban social life, while it has changed its form in some other sectors. Caste solidarity is not as strong as in urban areas as in the rural areas. Caste panchayats are very weak in cities. There exists a dichotomy between workplace and domestic situation, and both caste and class situations coexist. In respect to the change in the distribution of power, we find that in pre-British India, the upper caste was also the upper class. But with education and new types of occupation, this correlation of caste and class is no longer true. Batley pointed out that higher caste does not always imply higher class. This disharmony is most often found in Indian cities where new job opportunities have developed. The establishment of caste association again reveals the virtual vitality of caste system. The most powerful role that caste identity is playing in contemporary period is in politics, which governs the power dimension. Caste acts as a vote bank in both rural and urban areas, and because of this, it is being revived in urban areas. Caste also becomes a basis for organizing trade union-like association, which serves as interest group which protects the rights and interests of its caste members. Certain aspects of behavior associated with the caste ideology have now almost disappeared in the urban context. The rules of commensality or interdining among castes have very little meaning in the cities. The frequency of intercaste and interreligion marriage has increased. Neighborhood interaction in urban settlement is marked by a high degree of informality, and caste and kinship are major bases of such participation. Lynch's study of an untouchable caste, Jatwas, in Agra showed that Jatwas had well-knit mohalla organization which resembled a village community in many respects. Doshi's study of two caste towards in the city of Ahmedabad also refers to the traditional community organization. Here we want to close this lecture. Thanks for listening.